Good morning, Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle. We're the fucking Morning Throners.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Morning Throners podcast. We got Ned 10 on the docket and some Kyle predictions to talk about. Because I think
Kyle predictions.
He was pretty good last time. I'm just saying, like, hey, we got some of Kyle's old predictions to talk about.
I forget what Kyle predicted. Yeah, I'm just saying I forget what he predicted.
Well, I remember my prediction for Ned, but
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't.
What he said last podcast was like Ned was gonna be like dreaming, right?
No. I said he was going to be trying to find a way out. I thought he was going
jokingly said that at first.
You guys are right. Kyle definitely did say like the whole chapter is going to be a dream.
Yeah,
and
he was like, no,
never
mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we laughed about it in the spoiler section because I thought the entire chapter was this dream, but there's it's like half and half, I guess, like a page and a half of.
And then you changed it.
I don't remember being that on the spot, but all right, I'll take it.
Because I think Glow like even made a face when you said it, and I like saw.
It's so hard for me to see you guys if you're not talking. The picture is like this big, so don't worry about the faces and stuff. Especially Jeff, you're like in pitch black.
I'm dark, yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
The silhouette.
You just
All right, so what do you think in general this chapter, Kyle?
I mean, it kind of gave a little bit more insight into like Robert, I'd say, more than anything.
You mean with the conversation at the end and how him and Cersei come in together?
Yeah, exactly. He seems like he's obviously not very happy with where he is in his life. Pretty much, Robert. That is.
We'll get to it later, but it's interesting how it seems like Robert just does anything he can to like not have to deal with problems. He's like, all right, there's a huge problem right now. I'm gonna go hunting.
Yeah,
like I'm just gonna go for
deal
a couple
with it.
weeks.
Yeah, he hates being king.
Yeah,
he loves being the king, but he hates being the king at the same time.
Did it for the title.
So what about what? I don't know if you remember anything about this dream at the beginning, Kyle.
Well, it's the three
There's
nights.
a lot of shit coming through this dream.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, this dream means more to you than to me, because I still don't get the full picture of what happened there. But obviously, there was a massacre, and it was pretty much the King's Guard, right? Yeah.
I mean, not really a massacre. It was 7.
Well,
right,
I mean, like 2 people left.
8 dead bodies there.
Right? Yeah, that's a massacre.
I mean, when I think of a massacre, I think of a very one-sided battle. This is 7v3.
No, massacre is just a bloodbath, like tons of
Okay.
death, right?
Okay.
That's the way at least that's me thinking of it.
Okay,
like,
then yeah, this is a massacre.
But
It's a
yeah,
bloodbath.
so like 90% of the people ended up dying in this dream, but it seemed linked to reality at least. It was a little fantastical at times, right? I mean, like they were ghostly and stuff like that, but.
So we're gonna read this quote either in this section or in the spoiler section. If you don't have anything to talk about, like for the quote, or if it's been a while since you read it, like we can read it now. If you don't have anything to say, we won't read it now. We'll save it for the spoiler section. It's up to you.
What quote is like? Where does it start?
The entire dream, literally from the beginning of the chapter until like a page.
So
and a
you're
half.
saying
We're just gonna read the whole. We're just gonna read the whole chapter.
I should know what happened here?
No, I'm just saying
No.
if it's not fresh in your head because you haven't read it in a week, then maybe we should read it here. If you read it and you didn't think anything of it, then fuck it. We'll just skip it and move on, and we'll talk about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say about it. Obviously, it was at the end of the war, right? When
Correct.
yeah. So
they killed the
basically,
king and everything, and they showed up, and they're like, "We're gonna have to kill you," and they're like,
so yeah, okay. So, but what are they defending?
"This tower." Hang on, I'm muting my phone real quick.
Yep. So they're defending the tower.
This Tower of Joy or something. What was it? The Tower of
Tower of Joy is what it's called.
Yeah. But that didn't mean anything to me, I'd say.
No, yeah, and like none of this will really mean much to you right now, which is why I'm saying it might not be worth it to go over it. But basically, what it is Ned's remembering what happened right after the end of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Robert dies. He goes to King's Landing. After King's Landing, he actually has to go to Storm's End, which is the seat of the Baratheons.
He said Robert dies.
Oh, not Robert. Rhaegar dies. Rhaegar dies. Ned goes to King's Landing. He goes to after King's Landing. Like that's when he sees that like the Lannisters kind of like Jaime turned on the king, and then they let in Tywin. Like we learned about this earlier. After Ned stops there, Robert's not there, I don't think, because he got hurt, right? So Ned went ahead. Then Ned says he goes to Storm's End, which is actually the seat of the Baratheons. So this is Robert's house, but now he's the king. He lives in King's Landing. This is where he would be. There was a siege there. he goes and breaks the siege, because what was happening was the Targaryens were sieging Robert's home castle. He goes and breaks it, and then he comes here. And then the dream is, we get all that from this dream, because he says, like, I expected to see you on the Trident, and they were like, the Kingsguard are like, oh, we weren't there. And he's like, I expected to see you at the siege of Storm's End, and like, oh, we weren't there. So like we get all of Ned's movements. Basically, that's the first thing we get logically from this dream, is just what happened with Ned chronologically throughout the end of the war. And then he talks about the people he was with.
This is a huge bonus as a on my first read through, I would say.
Oh yeah, dude. I didn't even remember this chapter the first read through, because I don't think there's a scene. Is there a scene of this in the show?
Oh yeah,
it's like I wouldn't have put any of that
the
together.
The part where Robert.
I remember
when Robert slaps Cersei.
I do, but I don't remember the dream in season 1.
Oh no, no, there's no dream.
I remember the slap and everything like that. Yeah.
So Ned and a bunch of people, Ned and 6 other people show up, and there's these 3 Kingsguard. Arthur Dane,
Sword of the Morning,
Sir Oswell Went, and Sir Gerald Hightower, who was the Lord Commander at the time.
The White Bull.
The White Bull, kind of like Barristan is now.
Okay.
And they have this weird confrontation.
What do we know about the Went? Is that a dunk and egg thing?
What?
The Went?
I know Carson Wentz. He's coming back.
I mentioned this to you guys in a spoiler section, but they're the guys. I got more into it in a spoiler section, but they're the owners of Harrenhal, the Wentz.
Yeah, they're the Black Bat, right?
The Black Bat. They're either the Black Bat or a group of Black Bats. There's 2 houses. One's Lost and one's Went. Yeah,
I think it's 3 black on a yellow shield.
Yeah. So Kyle, the most interesting part about this whole dream is if you read just read the first line.
He dreamt an old dream of 3 knights in white cloaks and a tower long fallen, and Lyanna in her bed of blood.
Yeah, so his sister's a part of this dream too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the mystery that people don't understand is why is Lyanna what is
why
Lyanna have to do with
she's
these guys?
part of this? Yeah,
it kind of makes sense because we know that Robert hated Rhaegar, right? Because like he kidnapped and raped Lyanna, and that's what like the whole war is about. But it seems like I guess Ned, the whole point of like, why are you here, not there? It seems like he's surprised that they're spending 3 of the 7 Kingsguard to protect Lyanna.
Why was Lyanna in King's Landing? Why wasn't she in Winterfell? Do we know that?
We don't really know how any of that happens, like when she got kidnapped or like we don't really get any of that.
Yeah.
So much so that I didn't even realize that was what was going on. So they kidnapped her and she was held in this Tower of Joy.
Rhaegar kidnapped her. We don't know what happened with her, but this dream makes it seem like this is the first we kind of find out. All we know up to this point is Rhaegar kidnapped her and raped her, and that's why Robert hates Rhaegar.
Yeah.
And then this is the next thing we really get
so
about what
bed of
the next
blood,
part of that story.
Is she dying? Is that what's happening here? Or
yeah, so we talked. I forget. Hold on. Let me go back to the first Ned chapter because we talked about. They mentioned her death in the first Ned chapter.
But yeah,
about like some fever. Remember?
Yeah, but I mean, she doesn't seem like she's dying here. So is that like a?
Well, he said the first line says her in her bed of blood.
And I don't think they mentioned her again in the dream.
No, she's talking. She's yelling at him and stuff.
Yeah, Lord Eddard, Lyanna called. I promise. He whispered, Leah, I promise. Let me see. First Ed, let me see. Yeah, this is the quote from the first Ned chapter. He could hear her still at times. Promise me, she had cried, in a room that smelled of blood and roses. Promise me, Ned. The fever had taken her strength, and her voice had been faint as a whisper. But when he gave his word, the fear had gone out of her sister's eyes. Ned remembered the way she had smiled then, how tightly her fingers had clutched his as she gave up her hold on life, the rose petals spilling from her palm, dead and black. After that, he remembered nothing. They found him still holding her body, silent with grief. The little Crannogman, Hal and Reed, had taken her hand from his. Ned could recall none of it. I bring her flowers when he can. So that's when him and Robert were looking at her statue. So that lines up with what's here, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a part here where Ned says like he kind of doesn't remember what happened.
Well, and Howland's the only one that gets out of it, right? With him.
Him and Howland are the only ones that survive.
Yeah. So I guess okay. So she's dying up there then.
Yeah, so that's kind of the gist of this dream is that's what we find out the next step of A, what happens with Ned after the war, and B, kind of like where is Lyanna at?
Okay.
And not that we know anything about the Tower of Joy. I don't even know if we know at this point in the books where that's located. We know it's in Dorne, but I don't know besides that if we know much else. But okay, yeah, I mean, I think that's good. That's a good amount to cover for this.
Good work. Good work.
And then he gets woken up
by Van Poole, the steward.
He's like, "Yeah, how long have you been out, bro?" And he's all splinted up and.
So how long has he been out?
6 days and 7 nights.
Yep.
Can you imagine being asleep for that long? Like
I'd still be tired
like a 2-day
afterwards.
hangover where you still like waking up, right? And you gotta like piss and whatnot, but like you want to sleep off most of the day. 6 days and 7. That's ridiculous. I mean,
well, I mean, you're in a coma. He
probably
doesn't feel like 6 days.
But
so
it's
what happens with like piss and shit then? Like, did they install a catheter? Like, how do they relieve his poops?
They probably suck it out of him. There's a guy. They don't talk about him, but there's a guy, that has to come in and suck it out of him. Both ends.
Okay.
So in the timeline, I have that this is taking place in between Ned getting hurt and now is the cat chapter where she gets to the Bloody Gate.
Okay.
And then Tyrion, the Tyrion chapter that we went over
last time. Yep.
I was just confused because I didn't edit that one yet, so I was wondering if we recorded it, but we did. So that one happens like a week or two after this.
After this scene?
After this, because Tyrion is in those cells for a while.
Okay.
He says he's in those cells for a decent amount of time. So Cat gets up there in between this, and then Tyrion's still in this for about a week or two after. I think that timeline kind of matters because like the conversation he has with Robert at the end here is like directly about the conflict with him and Jaime and with what's going on with Tyrion and Cat. So yeah, they tell him he's been asleep for a long time, and gives him water because Grand Maester recommended, and then tells him that Robert wants to speak with him. And Ned's like, "All right, well I can't walk. Tell him he's got to come here if he wants to talk to me." And he's like, "I hope you wake him up in the middle of the night or something." It's like in the middle of the night, so he's like, "I hope you disturb his sleep or something like that for it." And there's a sad part where Ned goes to like tell Vaon to call Jory.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, never mind.
Jory's dead. Yeah. So then Alan arrives, and Ned's like, all right, basically, give me a state of affairs. What's going on everywhere right now? And what's the status?
Jaime Peace.
Jaime's like,
back
ow.
to Casterly Rock.
Yep.
Catelyn has the imp. Everybody knows. And he put on extra guards for his daughters.
Yep, and they're chilling with him like every day.
Yeah, and Arya's pissed.
Yeah, she says Sansa prays a lot, but Arya hasn't said a word.
Yeah, she's gonna fuck some shit up.
How old is she right now? 9?
She's still gonna fuck some shit up.
That's great.
So then Alan, he's like, I want my daughters taken care of, like, for sure, no matter what happens. And then Alan's like, I'll stake their safety on my life, or
I
something
stake
like
my
that,
life
right?
on that, yep.
Yeah.
He sent the bodies up to the north.
Yep. He sent Jory and the other guy's bodies up to the north. The one thing interesting is they say he would want to be laid next to his grandfather, and the reason he can't be laid next to his father is because his father was one of the people in the dream at the beginning who didn't make it out of the Tower of Joy. So Jory's father died at the Tower of Joy, which is I never realized that until this read through.
What was Jory's last name?
Jory Cassell. Same as Sir Roderick. I think it's like a uncle-nephew
Martin
type deal.
Cassell? Jory's father here.
Yeah. Yep. So then that's when Alan leaves and Robert and Cersei come on in.
Father and son died fighting alongside Ed.
Yeah, that's sad, right? Like,
and Ned's still alive.
You're like Ned had to be friends with his dad, right?
And he had a lot of respect for Jory too.
So, this is me getting sidetracked. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No.
I got sidetracked.
Well, at the time, if you think about it too, so Ned was like around 20 at the time of the rebellion, and I think Jory is probably about that now. So Jory's dad was probably most of these guys who are with Ned are probably older than him, right? Because they're kind of like
Ned, like 25.
No,
right now
I think he's less than that. He's like 33 now. He's like 33 now, and I think the fight was 15 years ago, so he's like 23-ish.
Okay, I was say 20 or 20.
Yeah, so I think he's around 2023. What's interesting is because, like, the only reason he's in charge is because his father and brother had both died, like, right before the war. That is, like, kind of like what started the war. So Ned is younger, is a young leader compared to most other people. So I bet you most of the people he's with here at the tower are, like, more senior people, right? Because most of them are from other houses.
That's the way I take it. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So,
I concur.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of sad that he dies with both Jory and Jory's dad.
It's not his fault.
Yeah. I mean, but you have to feel responsible, right? Because both of them, they're fighting for Ned in both cases. Jory's protecting Ned. Jory's dad is
kind of Ned's fault.
It's their duty, though. Dude, that's like what they fucking live for.
I get that, but I feel like I would
Soldiers
still feel
live
guilty
to die.
in Ned's shoes.
I'm sure he does. That's why he's so broody.
Well, Ned seems like a good dude. Yeah, he probably feels bad about it.
All right, so somebody take it away. What happens when Robert comes in?
So Robert comes in with Cersei, and immediately Ned's like, "Fuck, why is Cersei here? This is bullshit."
Yeah.
But Robert's really nice to him. Like, offers him wine, like, asks him how his leg's feeling, and like that just pisses Cersei off. Yeah, I mean, she's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, he tried to kill you.
He shouldn't even have a head.
Yeah, it's great. And then Robert and Cersei just start fighting, right?
Well, Robert says, like, the Maester says you're gonna heal fine. He's like, do you know what Cat did? And Ned's like, Cat didn't do shit, and that I didn't tell her to. He 100% takes credit for everything.
That's a good husband right there.
It's stupid. Right?
You think he could have played dumb?
Well, I mean, nothing comes of it, right? It's not like he gets in any trouble because of it.
But yeah, because Robert's his best friend. Any other king kills him right there, probably.
I think that's
uses him as what's it called?
That's just Ned. I think that goes back to what, like, 2 sentences before we said Ned's a good dude. Like, I feel like that's just Ned.
First off, lying to your king.
He was
treason.
Not honorable.
He was involved in all that, though, wasn't he?
He did not command Catelyn to take Tyrion.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
he did tell her to go back to Winterfell, right?
He accepts responsibility for all these things that are happening.
I get it. No, I'm not saying that I don't see, like, the reason behind it. He doesn't want his wife to be directly responsible for this, so he takes the blame. But it's like they say, like, all the time, like, it's dishonorable to lie to a king.
Yeah, but at the same time, do you not remember what he told Arya all those chapters ago? Sometimes there are lies that are not without honor.
When did he tell her that? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
When they're talking about when
they're talking about their needle training.
Sansa. No, isn't it when Sansa lies about the wolf, and Arya's like, she lied to the king.
No,
No,
I think it's when he tells her that he's like gonna have her train with the swordsman.
Oh, they call it dancing and something like that.
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because Sansa, he just like agreed that she was just scared. Like, there was no honor in her lying there. She was just being a scared girl.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so Ned takes credit, and Cersei's like, who the hell do you think you are? And Ned's like, I'm the hand of the king. And then Cersei says, like, the exact same line that Jaime said in the last Ned chapter. She's like, you were the hand, but now...
So that's weird that Ned... That, to me, at least, it was weird that Ned said, I'm the hand of the king. Because he had
especially after...
He had already decided a chapter ago. No, he was gone. He was not the hand anymore.
I was just thinking
he was trying to riggedy route
on Jaime, but he didn't. Littlefinger did. I think Jaime rolls up and Littlefinger's like, "This is the hand of the king," and Jaime's like, "He was the hand of the king, but now I don't know what he is," or something like that.
And it's almost spot on. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But you're right. Like, what? Why would Ned play this card? He doesn't want to be the hand.
Yeah, that seemed wacky to me. Like, it didn't make sense.
Just to shut her the fuck up, I think, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I really think it was just like, I'm powerful too, like, motherfucker, like, shut up. Like, is the hand of the king more powerful than the queen, if there's a king?
They're probably pretty close.
Yeah, they're probably pretty close.
Yeah, it probably just depends on the queen and the king, on how much power the king gives the queen.
Yeah, it's probably up to the king then who...
He's definitely choosing Ned over fucking Cersei.
Well, like, I feel like either one could make commands and decisions in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was a conflict, it would the king would have to decide. Right, it's kind of a tie between the king and the hand, or the queen and the hand. So,
wait, real quick on that: is the queen a part of the council? If she's not a part of the council, then the hand probably has more power.
Not.
Like she's just meant to.
But if she's
have kids,
getting with the king, she obviously can voice her concerns to the king and have.
That's true.
Have some play in how the king's going to do things.
I mean, also, if I'm just like a lord,
Macbeth
right?
style.
If I'm a high lord and the queen comes to me and is like, "Do this,"
yeah, you're gonna.
It's a fucking
I'm
queen.
gonna do it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it. So Robert cuts them off when they're like Ned and Cersei are like, "Who do you think you are?" Blah blah blah. Robert cuts it off and he says, he basically says, "I'm not accepting kidnapping or like just random fighting in my streets." And Ned's like, "Cat has reasons," and Rob's like, "I don't give a fuck about your reasons. I want Tyrion released, and I want you to make up a Jaime." And Ned's like, "I'm not going to overlook Jaime killing all my men." And Cersei 100% denies Jaime had anything to do with it and says that Ned was returning drunk from a brothel.
Yeah.
Which is half true. He was returning from a brothel.
But he was not drunk.
She made it seem like he was
drunk.
like banging girls, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And she also said like Ned kills 3 of their men?
7. Right?
He killed
7 of them died. No, 7 died total.
8.
Right?
8, because someone died of their wounds that Lord Stark delivered.
So, but when she calls them out for coming back late drunk from a brothel, and I was like, Robert, you can't believe it. Like, you know me, you know who I'm not. Like, I'm a good dude.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, ask Littlefinger. He was there. And Robert's like, well, I did already talk to Littlefinger, and he did admit you were coming back from a brothel. So, like,
this is where Ned kind of digs deep and fucking says why he was there. I was not expecting this even on this read-through. I was like, oh, shit.
I know. I forgot he said this here, too.
Oh, yeah, he calls him right out. But
well, he says, like...
2 things. So one was we got to fix our count, I guess, because now we know 5 people die at that battle.
5 people on the Lannisters.
5, yeah, so there's 5 kills for...
I think that's what we had.
Okay.
I think I gave Ned 2 and Corey 3.
All right, well, then that's good. The other thing is, like, Littlefinger's kind of a piece of shit, right? Like, he...
Well, it's weird, right? Because we don't know exactly how he worded it to Robert. But this makes it seem like, yeah, he was kind of taking Cersei's side and was like, yeah, he was coming back from a brothel.
Well, no, he said he rode off to bring the gold cloaks. So, like, I mean, he's kind of agreeing, like, look, we did get a little jump, but I didn't see who actually started the fighting. Like, I mean, like, to say that shit when you know what happened, like, he knew what happened.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Like, so he's obviously playing a little bit of, like...
So here...
He didn't give the whole truth.
He's poking,
so here's the thing.
Poking everybody.
Here's the thing about Littlefinger, though. Littlefinger's always looking out... Sure, he
But
might have other plans, but he's always looking out for number 1.
Yeah, that's what I guess what I'm getting at. It's like Littlefinger is showing no loyalty. Even though he like has promised Ned to help with this whole situation.
Well, hold on. Everyone, like, there was a lot of people who thought Ned wasn't even going to live. Like, Bran and Robb in the last Bran chapter didn't know if Ned was going to live, right? So if the king comes to me and I'm Littlefinger and he's basically like, hey, pick a side. The guy who might not live or Jaime who has like the most powerful army ever. Maybe, like, he doesn't 100% be like, oh yeah, Ned's 100% at fault. But I might side with Jaime too and be like, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. But here's what I do know.
Ned would have stood up for the truth. That's all.
Ned would have stood up for the truth. Yeah, but like when Littlefinger's thinking, okay, yeah, sure, I can stand up for Ned, and then he dies, and then I'm public enemy number 1 of the Lannisters. You know what I mean? Like, Littlefinger's got to look out for Littlefinger sometimes.
All the time. That's what I'm saying. Is that's who he is all the time. That's just him, yeah. Everything that he says and does, it cannot be taken for...
I like Littlefinger. You guys think what you will. You guys hate on him too much. So what truth does Ned tell Robert? Glow, you said you were surprised by it?
Robert's like, dude, you were coming back from a whorehouse. And he's like, Ned, or Robert, I went to go visit your fucking bastard who looks exactly like you. That 14-year-old girl you banged is in love with you, dude. What are you fucking doing? Yeah, Cersei's right there.
In love with him.
Yeah. Cersei's right there. He's like, dude, she's 15, a whore, and in love with you. What the fuck?
And Robert's like, I thought she had more sense. And Ned's like, she's 15 and a whore. What do you mean you thought she had more sense? Like, she obviously doesn't have that much sense if she's 15 and a whore. And yeah, like you said,
she's just trying to make her way in the world, man. Come on.
And Robert's like, this is not fit discussion for the Queen's presence or whatever. And Ned's like, again, just making ballsy plays in front of Cersei. He's like, let me bring Jaime to justice, right? Like, let me go. Like,
he's pushing on it too. Him? Like, so Robert's like, fuck no. Like, enough people died. Like, this is done. And Ned's still like, is that justice to you? Like, no, get the fuck out of here. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, Robert's trying to be like, enough people died, no more need to die, which kind of makes sense, but that's not justice. You can't just let someone, like, if I murder you,
it's not eye for an eye.
I can't be like, hey, let's not hurt anybody else.
So here's the other thing, though. Like, so then Ned goes back to saying that he's not the Hand anymore. So that's kind of why, I guess, that first statement of, I'm the fucking Hand, I can do what I want. And then he says, well, if so, then I'm pleased that I am no longer your Hand.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean he's kind of playing...
I think it was a defensive...
It was just
Cersei's
weird.
like, who the hell do you think you are?
Yeah. It was just a weird
I guess he could have been, like, the Lord of Winterfell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then, like you said, he says he's like no longer Hand. And Cersei's like, if you would have said that to like, Robert, like, she's like, telling Robert to, like, grow a backbone. Like, think about if Ned would have said that to a Targaryen king, what the hell would have happened? And Robert's like, I'm not Aerys. Like, I'm not the Mad King. I'm not Aerys. But Ned is pushing it, right? He knows he can get away with some shit here because it's his buddy. Like, he's saying some shit you should not be, especially in front of the Queen, you should not be saying.
Fuck it.
So the next part I have as a quote, short one, if you want to read it. I think it's probably mostly Ned.
I took you for a king. Jaime and Tyrion are your own brothers, by all the laws of marriage and the bonds we share. The Starks have driven off the one and seized the other. This man dishonors you with every breath he takes, and yet you stand there meekly, asking if his leg pains him, and would he like some wine.
Robert's face was dark with anger.
How many times must I tell you to hold your tongue, woman?
Cersei's face was a study in contempt.
What a jape the gods have made of us two,
she said.
By all rights, you ought to be in skirts and me in mail.
Purple with rage, the king lashed out, a vicious backhand blow to the side of the head. She stumbled against the table and fell hard. Yet Cersei Lannister did not cry out. Her slender fingers brushed her cheek where the pale, smooth skin was already reddening. On the morrow, the bruise would cover half her face.
I shall wear this as a badge of honor,
she announced.
Wear it in silence, or I'll honor you again.
Robert vowed. He shouted for a guard. Sir Meryn Trant stepped into the room, tall and somber in his white armor.
The Queen is tired. See her to her bedchamber.
The knight helped Cersei to her feet and led her out without a word. Robert reached for the flagon and refilled his cup.
I just love this. First off, it's pretty badass by Cersei that she takes a fucking backhand slap that is going to be a bruise on her entire face tomorrow and just kind of like shrugs it off and says like, I'll wear this with a badge of armor.
Talk shit right after.
That just shows how much hate is there between the two of them. Like she's got some shits doing. So I think that's excellent foreshadowing into their relationship. I don't know exactly how it's going to break down, but it has to be on the verge of collapse. It already is.
I don't know what you mean.
What do you mean you don't know?
What relationship?
What did it tell you about Cersei?
Well, like that she hates him this much that she won't show him any of that emotion, and like it's just deep hatred at this point.
Well, like also, how does she not see this coming? Like she knows who Robert is. How do you not? I mean, I guess Ned is literally just like
she deserved it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Ned's doing the same thing she's doing, right? And he hits her, not Ned. Right? Ned's like, if that's your idea of honor, I'm glad, or of justice, I'm glad I'm not the Hand. And all she says is, you should be in skirts and me in mail, right? It's not much worse than what Ned says, but she gets a fucking backhand for it, and Ned doesn't get shit. I think it's
because she's a woman. I mean, it's the whole.
Because he knows, there's going to be nothing after it.
Well, he says afterwards, like, I shouldn't hit her, right?
Yeah, he's like, that was not very kingly of me.
Kingly.
But he also didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because he hit her.
And he did hit her.
I mean, I like Robert.
And he didn't say that to her.
Robert seems like a pretty relatable guy, but this is fucked up. I don't think. I mean, especially over an argument, you're never gonna fucking smack like all your mights backsmack a girl in the face. Come on.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of her. Like
he hit
Ned
her
would
once.
never. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but Robert's a big dude.
Yeah,
like,
for
he's
sure.
known for
I
being
didn't
a
mean to make it
badass
sound
dude.
like I was cool with him hitting her. If I did, I didn't mean to. That wasn't my point. I don't know if that's how I said it.
I don't think it came off like that, but I don't know.
Has he hit her before? Is that known?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think we know about it if he has.
I mean, I feel like it's been built up for a while. Like I guess
that's what I'm getting at. Yeah, it's like there's so much.
It could have been the first strike for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the first strike.
Like this was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
The thing is, Robert's probably pretty lucky Jamie's not around right now.
Yeah, that's Jamie's fuck buddy. And
right, if Jamie saw this the next day, and
if he saw
Cersei with a huge bruise,
and he's banging her, like yeah.
I mean, there's a chance he could have been there then, right? He could have been the.
He probably would have been in there.
Guard on.
Well,
I mean,
not
not with Ned.
Yeah.
I mean, with the altercation, but.
No, he ran away to Casterly Rock.
What do you mean? He fled to Castle Rock.
I'm just saying in a different setting where him and Ned
he
didn't get in a fight.
What if he was there?
Yes, he could have been the guard with the king.
Yeah, gotcha.
Which, how can he be a king's guard and just leave?
Because he's fucking Jaime Lannister. That just shows who
No,
he
he's
thinks
fucking
he is.
Yeah,
Cersei.
exactly. So after Cersei leaves, Robert gets some more wine and is like basically just venting to Ned about like how much Cersei like gets on his nerves. And they kind of go back and talk about Rhaegar. He's like, I fucking killed Rhaegar, and that dude still won this war. He's like, I'm stuck with Cersei for every day for the rest of my life, and he still has Lyanna, which is like, it's kind of fucked up. Like, I don't know.
It's true.
I know more about the Robert Cersei relationship like from later on in the book, so I'll talk about it a little more in the spoiler section. But I think this is kind of fucked up thing for Robert to say.
I mean, that's just something that I think.
I think it's true.
Like, he married Cersei because of political. Like, it's not. Like, he
It's not
actually
because of
loved
love.
Lyanna.
Yeah, but so did Kat and Ned.
Yeah, but they're different people. You know.
Not all arranged marriages are awful. Some of them are gonna work out. Like, that's just numbers.
I got
you. Yeah, I'm just thinking about, all right, this dude loved another person, but then he got arranged to marry this person. That's like half of the old movies. Right there.
She was stolen from him. The one he loved was stolen and fucking ruined by somebody else. Like
that's kind of what I'm getting at is if Lyanna never would have been a person, right? If Robert never would have met Lyanna, does he still hate Cersei this much, or is he?
Probably
because he feels like he's settling?
Yes,
we talked about it last time that Cersei was a smoke show of.
Exactly.
We didn't talk about that.
I think we did.
You were gone.
I was probably the spoilers. I'm just warning you, I guess, before you get too into anything.
Cersei was super hot when they got married.
We literally bullshit and we're just talking about how hot Cersei was.
So
how hot she was described.
So, but I don't think I think he still knows who she is. Like, I mean, she's still an awful person. Like, if you're saying that she's still banging Jaime,
but he's kind of an awful person too.
I agree with Kyle on this in the fact that I believe that they were a doomed marriage no matter what.
But yeah, exactly. So I think like she's still a Lannister.
All right, I'll talk about. I have a comment, but I'll save it for the next section.
Yeah, we'll say I have some things I want to save too. So okay,
yeah,
hold on.
We'll leave Kyle in the dark.
Yep.
Please, yeah, that's the whole point, right?
Absolutely. Nelson will fuck it up though.
What? So okay. So the next thing here, I want to see what everyone thinks. I guess Ned says, "Yeah, he says, Your Grace, we must talk." Robert pressed a finger against his temples. "I'm sick unto death of talk. On the morrow, I'm going to the Kingswood to hunt. Whatever you have to say can wait until I return." What's Ned gonna say?
There's gonna be a fucking war. Gonna say, look, man, like shit's ripping at the seams here. Like, we're about to come to blows here. Obviously, like people have died. Jaime's gonna have to pay for this. Shit's gonna go down when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna say how he thinks, like, that the Lannisters are the ones behind its death, Jon Arryn's death, as well as possibly behind what happened with Bran, and that's why Catelyn abducted Tyrion, basically.
That would be my thought too. Is basically a reason for why Catelyn did what she did, right? Like a justification. And why did he do that?
I think it's even more than that, though. I just think like he knows everything's boiling and is boiling over.
But shouldn't Robert know that too? Like Robert, in terms of like the violence that has occurred at this point, the kidnapping, the fight in the street, Robert is on the same page as all that. Maybe he doesn't know the details of it, but he basically knows what went down.
I don't know if he knows.
I'm not sure, but that's what I would think is maybe a little justification of what happened. And it's good that Cersei's out of the room now, right? Because he's kind of accusing her.
Oh, they did mention Dany too, but Robert didn't want to talk about that again.
Yeah, so that's we're getting there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I forgot that was the very end.
Yeah, so Ned's like, hopefully I'm gonna be gone by the time you get back from the Kingswood, and Robert's like, nah, your hand again. He's like, and if you ever take it off, Jamie's. I guess that's at the very end.
I'll pin the damn thing on Jamie
Lannister. Yeah. So what's the part with Dany, Kyle?
Well, he says because this is like when he's getting the hand back, which is why he gave it away in the first place, was the Targaryen girl.
Exactly. So he's like, you're gonna be the hand again.
So he said the Targaryen girl after getting it back, and then he says 7 hells. Don't start with her again. That's done. I'll hear no more of it. Why would you want me as your hand if you refuse to listen to my counsel? And he says, why? Why not? Someone has to rule this damnable kingdom. Put on the badge, Ned. It suits you. And if you ever throw it in my face again, I swear to you, I'll pin the damn thing on Jaime Lannister. So essentially, I guess what he's saying is like, while we don't always agree, I don't trust anybody more than you to do this, is what he said to him. So I think that shows some of at least Robert's sensible side, maybe his good side, and like he understands that Ned would only fight him in situations that Ned truly believes are like part of his character. And
aren't those the things that you should consider Ned's opinion on?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. I think he's.
But it's saying, not, because Ned's like the thing that Ned was very vehement about was the Targaryen girl, and that's what he's like. 7 hells, don't start with her again. It's done. I'll hear no more of it. That's his response.
True.
Ned's like, what's the point? And he's like, just to do the shit I don't want to do. I don't think it's at all what you're saying. I don't think it's I trust your count. I do think he trusts. Not that I don't think Robert trusts.
Well, that's why he put him as hand first of all, because he's not a yes man. He's like, everyone's either a fool or a flatterer, and I know you're neither of those.
I don't think that's it either. I think, yeah, sure, he's trustworthy. That's a good value. I think the point is, Ned, you know how to run shit, right? You ran Winterfell by yourself for 15 years. You're going to run the kingdom because I don't fucking want to do it. I don't want to do the boring shit. I want to go fucking hunting all day. I want to go fuck these 15-year-old whores. You're going to do all the shit I don't want to do. But if we get into an argument, it's my way or the highway. I'm the fucking king. And I think that's what point. Ned... I think that's how Robert plans on running this show.
I agree with Nelson.
That's valid.
But at the same time, he trusts his judgment.
I don't know, because he doesn't.
No, I think he's still...
I guess Robert just takes very firm stands on certain things.
Yeah. I guess that some of that boyhood relationship between the two of them is still there, I guess, is what I'm saying. And that they're, like, the best friendship part of them. I guess some of that, like I said, that boyhood relationship between the two of them is still there, and it comes through at times. And that's where I was coming from, but I also see what you're saying, that he still is going to use it to his own advantage.
Yeah.
Robert.
Yeah. Robert, like Littlefinger, is looking out for Robert first and foremost, even if he should be looking after the realm as the king. But all right, that's all I got. Anything? Any predictions for what's next, Kyle? What goes on?
Well,
do you think we're going to get a chapter before Robert comes back? And if so, from Ned. And if so, what's going on? I guess, or Sansa or Arya, any of them can kind of give perspective on King's Landing.
It's going to be tense. I don't really have much to say about this one in terms of that kind of thing. I mean, obviously tensions are going up, and like eventually Jaime's going to come back, or something's going to happen with the Lannisters. But
so your last prediction was Ned's still trying to figure out a way out of King's Landing.
That's gone. That didn't happen. Well, I mean, so I was prepared to defend because I didn't remember saying that it was going to be Ned's dream. So my remembrance of the prediction was that Ned was going to wake up and try and get the fuck out of there.
I
was going to defend that by saying that Ned did seem to still want to get out of there through this chapter. Sure. Like, he was still trying to like be like, look, man, I got more important shit, but Robert wouldn't let him. And so when Robert forbade that went out the window, obviously.
Yeah, and also it seems like Hand of the King isn't something that you can really just like quit.
Yeah.
When Ned did it last time, it was because I think Robert said, "If you won't obey my orders, I'll find myself a hand who will." And Robert's like, "I wish him or Ned's like, I wish him the best of luck," and he takes it off. So like Robert gave him kind of the opportunity to quit. I don't think it's something you could normally say, "Hey, I don't do this anymore."
Agreed.
So now that he's been named Hand again, I think he's kind of stuck with it.
So that's gone. I don't think he's trying to leave anymore. I think he's still going to probably continue his search for evidence on John Aaron.
Okay.
So I mean that's pretty much it. I don't have much like in terms of predictions. I can give you like the broad obvious stuff that's coming, but
we're going to Catelyn next.
That's
you got
not
anything for
Catelyn? She's with Tyrion. What's about to
happen there?
Tyrion is. It's going to be the fight then, I guess. Fight. So this is going to be when Tyrion's dude kills the other dude. That's what's going to happen, and it's going to cause a whole bunch of shit, and they're going to get kicked out of the. That's not the Eyrie. It is. Right?
It's the Eyrie, the Vale.
They're going to get kicked out. Prediction.
I mean, I don't think kicked out. I feel
fuck off, Nelson.
Okay.
This is a prediction.
Fuck off, Nelson. It's a prediction.
Don't just
is that your
shit on my.
Nelson?
No, and I mean, it's fine, but you know what's gonna happen. So
I was just saying,
so they're gonna be asked to leave. How's that?
I don't think Tyrion would ask. My point was gonna be, I don't think Tyrion would ask to stay here, right? I don't think he has to get kicked out. Would be my thing.
No,
if it does go that way.
No, I'm not saying he's gonna. I think Catelyn's still gonna have him. I don't think they're just gonna let him go.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up and move on to the spoiler section.
Nelson wants to change this to the fucking spoiler section, apparently.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Shut the hell up.
It's fucking dickhead.
Why are you saying shut up, Glow? We said it. I just laughed.
Cutting all that
all right, see ya, Kyle.
All right, Kyle, it's great hanging out, bud. We'll see you in the next episode.
Later, dudes.
18. See you then.
Later.
Bye, Kyle.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
See you later, Kyle. It was great hanging out, friend. We'll see you in the next episode
Bye,
for Catelyn 18. And now, on to the spoiler section. Boys, what are your hot takes for this episode?
All right, first things first, we're jumping right into this quote. Glow, why don't you narrate and be Ned, Jeff, you're Oswell, and Arthur, and I'll be Sir Gerald.
Works for me.
Okay. I'm going to have a dope-ass Arthur voice, too.
He dreamt an old dream of 3 knights in white cloaks and a tower long fallen, and Lyanna in her bed of blood. In the dream, his friends rode with him, as they had in life. Proud Martin Cassell, Jory's father. Faithful Theo Wool. Ethan Glover, who had been Brandon's squire. Sir Mark Risewell, soft of speech and gentle of heart. The Crannogman, Howland Reed. Lord Dustin on his great red stallion. Ned had known their faces as well as he knew his own once. But the years leach at a man's memories, even those he had vowed never to forget. In the dream there were only shadows, grey wraiths on horses made of mist. They were 7 facing 3, in the dream as it had been in life. Yet these were no ordinary 3. They waited before the round tower, the red mountains of Dorne at their backs, their white cloaks glowing in the wind. And these were no shadows. Their faces burned clear, even now. Sir Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning, had a sad smile on his lips. The hilt of the greatsword, Dawn, poked up over his right shoulder. Sir Oswell Went was on one knee, sharpening his blade with a whetstone. Across his white enameled helm, the black bat of his house spread its wings. Between them stood fierce old Sir Gerald Hightower, the White Bull, Lord Commander of the King's Guard. I looked for you on the Trident, Ned said to them.
We were not there,
Sir Gerald answered.
Woe to the usurper if we had been,
said Sir Oswell. When King's Landing fell, Sir Jaime slew your king with a golden sword, and I wondered where you were.
Far away,
Sir Gerald said.
Or Ares would yet sit the Iron Throne, and our false brother would burn in 7 hells.
I came down to Storm's End to lift the siege, Ned told them, and the Lords Tyrell and Redwyn dipped their banners, and all their knights bent the knee to pledge us fealty. I was certain you would be among them.
Our knees do not bend easily,
said Sir Arthur Dane. Sir William Derry is fled to Dragonstone with your queen and Prince Viserys. I thought you might have sailed with them.
Sir Willem is a good man, and true,
said Sir Oswell.
but not of the King's Guard.
Sir Gerald pointed out.
The King's Guard does not flee.
Then or now,
said Sir Arthur. He donned his helm.
We swore vow,
explained old Sir Gerald. Ned's wraiths moved up beside him, with shadow swords in hand. They were 7 against 3.
And now it begins,
said Sir Arthur Dane, the sword of the morning. He unsheathed on and held it with both hands. The blade was pale as milk glass, alive with light. No, Ned said with sadness in his voice. Now it ends. As they came together in a rush of steel and shadow, he could hear Lyanna screaming. Eddard! She called. A storm of rose petals blew across a blood-streaked sky, as blue as the eyes of death. Lord Eddard! Lyanna called again. I promise, he whispered. Leah, I promise.
Lord Eddard!
A shadow stood over the bed. Groaning, Eddard Stark opened his eyes. Moonlight streamed through the tall windows of the Tower of the Hand.
So the reason I wanted that last line in there is moonlight streamed through the tall window of the Tower of the Hand. What have I told you guys about moonlight and dreams before?
It's from the
bitch.
It's from the what's it called?
People think so. The one theory is
glass candles.
Glass candles can use the moon as like a satellite, right?
Yeah.
To send dreams. So if someone's sending this dream, what's the point of the dream?
I didn't think about that at all. I mean, it's got to be the RL. What's it called? RLA, RLJ.
The R plus L equals J.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't it the Maesters that can use this? And what is this advantage to them if they don't like Targaryens?
So hang on. So what? But which of the Maesters has a glass candle?
The one dude you always bring up, and I forget his name.
Marwyn. But he's the one who's like anti-normal Maesters, right? He's the one who actually wants to be Dany's Maester. Like in the end of book 5 or the end of book 4, whichever it is with Sam, he is like, all right, Sam, you're going to stay here and train at the Citadel. I'm taking the ship you came here on and going to get Dany. Like Marwyn is on his way to meet Dany at the end of where we're at in the books right now. So Marwyn is pro Dany. Most Maesters, you're right, are anti Dany, but Marwyn is the one who criticizes most Maesters and tells Sam that most Maesters are like this. So the guy who's pro Dany is potentially sending Ned a dream about the promise he made Lyanna.
At the same time, he would have to know about this said promise. How does he know about it? Where did he get his info from?
If he has glass candles, he can jump into Ned's dreams and see.
He's like watching the dreams.
Like you have.
See,
powers.
I like that stuff. I like that the three-eyed raven could do that. I don't like that now this dude has the same fucking power because of this candle. I don't like that. I think it was even a far-stretched thing that the three-eyed raven could do it, but I understand that he needed to do it.
So here's my thing. My thing isn't really necessarily who's doing it, but it's the what is happening. That is what backs me up. Ned has this dream, the most vivid part of the Tower of Joy we've got so far in the story. And he wakes up from it thinking about the promise. Literally the last parts of the dream are, I promise, he whispered. Leah, I promise. Lord Eddard, that's when he wakes up. He doesn't think about Jon Snow one fucking time in this chapter. But when Robert goes to give him the pin back, what's the fucking first thing he says?
What about the
Targaryen girl? He just fucking had a dream about it. So here's one thing that I haven't told you guys that's the biggest piece of evidence for my theory here, is when Ned is locked up.
Your theory?
This theory is when Ned is locked up in the dungeons, and I think it's Ned 14 or 15. There's a quote that says like, Ned dreamt of broken promises, or Ned thought of broken promises, like days long gone and broken promises. Okay, what promise did he fucking break here? Jon Snow's safe at the wall, but he thinks
Rob's out there fighting or gonna be fighting. There's like little nuanced promise. It didn't have to be a verbal. As a father, you promise to take care of your family. He obviously is not doing that from the cell. I don't know about that. I mean, I understand like there's a literal promise that's a huge piece of this, but I gotta be the guy who pulls you down because you get so high on your theories every now and again. Like
I know
people make promises to themselves.
Yeah, are you a QAnon?
I know some of them are tinfoil, and I don't expect you guys to ever agree with me. I'm just trying to like point these things out to you guys to.
I gotcha.
Make you think
it makes a lot of sense now because I know what you mean. But he also like Kyle brought it up, the Targaryen girl was the reason. Dany was the reason he took the pin off. Now maybe that could be because he was still trying to protect her.
Your mind?
Right. Like the reason I'm quitting is this. Are you changing your stance on that? And he pretty much said no. So, you know what I mean?
Like we said,
I understand.
He's not giving him an option to quit again. So there's a lot more in this quote that I want to talk about that's not really a direct reference towards Dany. There's actually a fact that's is contradictory and points towards Jon. When Sir Gerald says the Kingsguard do not flee. Okay? So if the Kingsguard aren't fleeing, who are they protecting then? Like, right? Why are they here? Why are the Kingsguard here? Anybody?
They're protecting a pregnant lady.
Okay,
but they don't know if it's a son or a daughter yet.
Okay, but if it is a son,
it's going to be the Kingsguard.
It's the heir.
Guard.
It's the heir, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they're here. They're here to protect the potential future heir. If that's true, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that me and you talked about a lot, Nels, was why are they there?
So the thing is,
but it doesn't make sense of why they fight if they know.
Why do they fight at all? Because this is Ned's nephew. Ned's not going to go in there and kill Lyanna. He's not going to go in there and kill his nephew. Everyone fucking knows Ned Stark is not going to do that. So what's the point in fighting? Why do they not talk this out? So here's the thing: a lot of stuff,
especially because Barristan knelt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
As the Kingsguard, they all could have just been serving Robert. And
well, Robert does not let this child live.
Imagine if Robert finds out, like, Lyanna doesn't die. Or even if she dies, I mean, I guess in his mind, he'll still think she got raped. Like, it would have to be, like, a lot of accounts of Ned and the three Kingsguardmen being like, no, they actually got married, like, we were there, like, you know what I mean?
So a couple things I'm going to point out, and again, this is one of the most looked at passages in all of the books, is this dream right here. A couple things about dreams is a lot of so stuff in dreams is not always how it actually is, right? So example, he says that his friends are shadows, right? This dream goes kind of out of the way to tell you what is the same, right? It says there were 7 facing 3 in the dream as it had been in life. It says that a couple times, right? As in the dream as it had been in life.
Yep.
Yeah, the first line, in the dream, his friends rode with him as they had in life. So that's the same. We know in life, in the real world, his friends were with him. Next part, in the dream, as it hasn't been in life, there was 3 verse 7.
Oh shit, as blue as the eyes of death. White Walker reference.
But because of that, I don't know how much of the rest of this we can take word for word, right? So, example, when they say that they fought, when they talk about the fight, they say they met in a rush of steel and shadow, right? That's not the same as it was in real life. There was no shadows in real life, right? There, because he's saying his friends are shadows. So, do they even fight in real life? That's the thing.
I mean,
like,
steel,
there's no reason for them to
steel.
fight here. Right? If Ned's just going to save this child and, like, keep him safe, maybe this Kingsguard would want him to be a rightful king.
There's no reason that they fight. There's no reason that they fight.
So there, I don't believe this theory, but I'm just giving you guys theories to put them in your mind. There are theories that Mance Rayder is Sir Arthur Dayne, Sir Gerald Hightower is Tormund Giantsbane, and Sir Oswell Went is one of the other wildlings. Some of the evidence is from, like, Sir Arthur Dayne saying, like, our knees do not bend, right? The Kingsguard kneels to the fucking king every single, like, all the time, but they say our knees do not bend that easily. So when Sir Gerald says we do not flee, I think there's another time where Mance or Tormund says I don't flee or something like that. Like, they have similar turns of phrase, I guess, but that is the thing that I think is interesting about that theory is that they didn't fight because there's no reason for them to fight. And
at the same time, though, what happened to the 5 other dudes that died?
So I don't know, but here's the thing: why did they not bring their bodies back? Right? This says Martin Castle had perished with the rest. Ned had pulled the tower down afterwards, and it used his bloody stones. And used its bloody stones to build 8 cairns upon the ridge. It was said that Rhaegar had named that place the Tower of Joy, but for Ned it was a bitter memory. They had been 7 against 3, yet only 2 had lived to ride away. Eddard Stark himself and the little crannogman Hallen Reed. He did not think it omened well that he should dream that dream again after so many years.
What are the 2 people gonna do? Drag all 8 bodies back with them?
So here's the thing: he takes Sir Arthur Dane's sword to Starfall, but he doesn't take Sir Arthur Dane's bones to Starfall.
Oh, fuck his bones.
That doesn't make any sense. In the Dance of Dragons, Lady Dustin is like extremely furious that she doesn't get her, Lord Dustin was one of the people with him. She is furious that she doesn't get his bones back. And she says that she's going to make sure Ned's bones never rest in the crypts because Ned didn't bring her husband's bones back. It's not something that people don't give a fuck about, right? They talk about it here. When Jory dies, that he wants to be laid to rest, they send his bones back.
It's very true.
Why do they not send the bones back?
I get it.
If they're not sending bones back, do you have fucking bones? Did they walk away? That's the argument, right?
So, and did you say that Lyanna was the girl on the boat with Tyrion and them?
No, not Lyanna. Lyanna's dead. Shara.
Okay.
She because Tyrion says that she has like stretch marks, so she obviously had a baby. She's about that age. There's a couple things that like hint to it. But yeah, I don't know. There's weird stuff in this dream that doesn't make fucking sense. Why do they fight? They both want safety for both people in the tower. The only difference that the only thing they might disagree on is the Kingsguard want him to be king, and Ned's like, no, let's just fucking save this kid's life. But if you have a fucking reasonable conversation, Ned and Sir Arthur Dane, Sir Oswell Went, and Sir Gerald Hightower, Ned can fucking pretty clearly convince them, yo guys, it's you 3 and a baby versus the entire realm at this point.
So do you think...
There's no taking the chair back. The only thing we can hope to do is hide this baby. Or send it across the sea. See ya. Go, Dany. Get across the sea. You'll come back and be king someday.
So how does Dany meet up with Viserys then?
That's the other thing. Dany, the whole thing with Dany, right? She has a dream about a lemon tree outside her door. What's the big thing that people say about the lemon tree?
There's only lemon trees in Dorne.
No, there's no lemon trees in Braavos.
Right.
Lemon trees are
in Dorne.
In Dorne. Where's the Tower of Joy?
Oh, come on. She's just born. She doesn't... How long did she stay in Dorne?
Well, until she remembers.
Until she had a cognitive memory? That would have been years.
Yeah, a couple years.
All right, but this is what I'm saying. Like, Viserys is already how old? 6?
Viserys, I guess. I forget how old we said Viserys was compared to Dany.
So, Viserys has a cognitive memory already.
Yep.
So, he's going to know if Dany wasn't with him, and then, oh, here's Dany, your sister, or...
Yeah, so I can either tell them that this is Rhaegar's child, right? He's Rhaegar's brother. Rhaegar's child has a better claim than he does.
Sure.
So by making him making her his younger sister, she takes away his claim and gives him better claim. But again,
he's got a cognitive memory because he's already old enough.
Exactly, but if he tells her the truth and says, "Hey, you're the heir, you're Rhaegar's daughter," then she is in line of the like.
I understand, but he would have remembered that his mom wasn't pregnant at the time.
No, he's saying Viserys is lying to Dany.
Knowingly lying. Yeah, knowingly lying. To Dany and everyone because it gives Dany less claim. Dany has more claim than Viserys.
Alright, I didn't think about that.
At the same time, do the Targaryens... I thought Westeros didn't follow queens. So Viserys would still have the...
They kind of don't, right? So that's where it's iffy. But the thing you kind of have to go is like Dorne follows queens. Rhaegar's wife was Dornish. That's kind of this... That's this thing, right? So, and Targaryens aren't necessarily like that. If you read Fire and Blood, there have been times where queens like kind of rule, like not really for extended periods of time, but Targaryens definitely value females way more than most houses in Westeros, right? Just think about Aegon and Viserys, Aegon, Rhaenys, and Visenya when they conquered the Seven Kingdoms. They basically were all equal. Like, they would sit on the Iron Throne when he wasn't there. Like, when he was a Dragonstone or something, they would sit in the Iron Throne instead. He didn't have a hand to do that. He would just leave his queens to do that. So Targaryens are a bit different. That's a valid point, Glow. But, like, if you're Viserys, are you going to take that chance? Right? Isn't it easier just to say it's my younger sister? Who the fuck's going to know? And it kind of points to why he wants to sell her off. Right? She's less valuable to him. It's not really get this girl out of here. Like, make sure she's never gonna come back and take this throne.
Well, she's coming back with him with the fucking horse lord, so that's his plan.
Is it? Because like even at points in like the last chapter we read with Danny, I think, where he's telling or Jorah says like, maybe he says to Jorah, it's like, I wouldn't need the whole army. I just need him to give me like 20,000 people. Right? I don't think.
Let's just talk about Ned's promise. Say Danny is the kid.
Yep.
What's Ned's promise? Just to protect her?
Yeah.
But also fuck Robert by protecting her because she's gonna come over, right? Like he had to have been keeping an eye on her as well from afar, correct?
Ned?
Yeah. How would he know if she's safe or not? What's the promise? If he just said, "Oh fuck her, just take her to Essos and then I'll wash my hands with her," he's not protecting her. Then there's no promise there. That's kind of like evading the promise.
Okay, valid, but I think her promise is more about at least in the show too, right? In the show, Lyanna's promise is saying like, you have to protect him. Robert will kill him if he finds out. It's literally about Robert. And that's in the show. We have no idea what it is in the books. In the show, it says like Robert will kill him if he finds out.
And that's the only time we see the dream, right? Is season 7, like last episode?
We see like little pieces of it, but yeah, that only once do we actually hear anything she says. Where she says like, keep him safe, like Robert, like you can't let Robert find out. His name is Aegon. That's like kind of what she says. So
I'm just saying, if Ned has that much,
that's a valid argument. But the other thing is, why, like, if it's not about Danny and it is about Jon, what the fuck is the point of thinking about it so much throughout this book? Jon is safe at the wall. Like, Jon is at the wall for the rest of his life.
At the wall?
Like, that is, I washed my hands with it.
Yeah, but you can still write him a letter and shit. I mean, I guess, like...
No, but Robert's never
going to go visit him if he wanted to.
Robert is never going to find out about Jon. Ned has done his promise to Lyanna. There's no point never thinking about it. What's the point?
I mean, really,
God
other
damn
than
it,
Ned...
Nelson, you're making me have shadow of a doubt here.
Once Ned dies, how is anybody going to know, other than the Three-Eyed Raven, that Danny was Lyanna's kid?
I don't think it matters, right?
Then what would be the point of her being Lyanna's kid?
Huh?
What would be the point of if no one's there to recall the fact, everyone's dead, what's the difference between Danny being Rhaegar's daughter or Rhaegar's sister?
She's the prince who was promised. All the prophecies say that the prince who was promised comes from Rhaegar's line. Right? Also, think about this. Rhaegar was trying to complete the prophecy. Do you remember Rhaegar's children's name? What's the first one? Boy.
Rhaegar. Oh, no. Aegon.
Aegon, 2.
I don't know.
Viserys.
The daughter that got killed by the mountain.
Oh, Rhaenys.
So who do those sound like? What's his naming?
Dragon.
What's his naming convention here?
Rhaegar's
naming convention is to name it after Aegon the Conqueror and his 2 sisters. So what's he expecting for his 3rd child? Another boy named Aegon? No, a fucking daughter named Visenya. A daughter.
All right. So where does Aegon or Phaegon fit into this whole deal? Is he alive or dead?
So here's a lot. There's different theories here. So different theories are there's potentially 3 mysterious babies. You brought up one thing earlier. We don't know if Viserys' mom was actually pregnant or not. She probably was, right? Other people saw her besides Viserys who would have known she was pregnant. So she probably was pregnant. Maybe she had a
when Danny was born at Storm's End, right? Or
Dragonstone. Maybe Aegon was the one born at Dragonstone. That's one of the theory. Maybe that's a stillbirth. Maybe Aegon was one born at Dragonstone. Maybe Aegon is Illyrio's... There's a ton of things. People think Aegon's not real. Aegon is actually Illyrio and a Blackfyre woman's child. Some people think that Aegon is actually Ashara's child that she said had a miscarriage, right? Because that makes sense. Because people think Lemore is Ashara. Why is Lemore with Aegon if it's fucking Rhaegar's kid, right? Who cares? But if Ashara didn't have a miscarriage and actually had a kid, maybe I don't know why she would spirit him away, but maybe that's who that is. Doesn't really make as much sense.
Well, isn't she with Phaegon?
Yeah. Well, Lemore is with Phaegon, and people think Lemore is her. But what's the point of leaving? Like that? Why take him to Essos at that point? Why get in cahoots with Illyrio? If it's literally just Ashara's kid, then why not have it be a Dane? Even if it is a bastard, like what's the point in going into hiding? Like, there's no reason for
to make him become a king.
Yeah, but so Ashara
company.
Yeah, but Ashara, I'm just saying the Ashara theory. Ashara has a kid, and then all of a sudden, just out of the blue, is like, oh, you know what? If I that's like if Kat has Rob and is like, oh, if I take this kid across the sea and then come back later, I can pretend he's not Tully. Like nobody thinks about that. You just have a kid and he's your kid. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's
but
so
I'm
much
saying
weird shit
her
that
kid might be a
Targaryen.
Targaryen. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's no all the Ashara theories are either Ashara and Ned or Ashara and Brandon. Not that Ashara. I get what you're saying if it's a Targaryen, but the reason I'm saying this is pointless is it's not there's no theories point to Ashara having a Targaryen baby, which means there's no reason to take it across the sea.
So if Ned, we know, dies, and Ashara is believed to be dead, or I just don't...
Bran.
There's a lot of... What's that?
Bran. Bran's how you figure out the truth of stuff.
Right. I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing, and I hope they don't fuck it up like the show. If he's some weird fucking dude, I'm out.
He's definitely going to turn into a weird fucking dude.
It's crazy.
He's drinking human paste.
The thing is, it's crazy, and George had to have done it on purpose, right? He had to have written this in a way that it's first off, there's three things. One is John is just a random bastard of Ned. Cool. Lyanna has a baby, maybe it dies. Right? That's like what the original, at this point, what Kyle thinks. What does Kyle think? John's a random bastard.
Kyle doesn't think anything. He doesn't even think that. I thought Glow was going to spoil the bastard thing.
Whoa, dog.
No, I saw that when you texted that. I thought you meant just don't tell him about the. Don't say. What Glow said was what I was going to say.
I thought he was going to say, Joffrey and whatnot. I just didn't know because we didn't talk about it.
So hold on. We're talking about the part where I asked Kyle, what did Ned want to tell Robert?
Yeah.
And
I was gonna fucking.
Jeff said, "Let's not spoil this." But the thing is, Ned
we just weren't on a united front at that point.
You're right.
But at the same time, Ned doesn't know that what's his name's a bastard yet.
Yeah, Ned doesn't know about the bastards. But when Jeff texted and said, "Let's not spoil him on this," I thought you meant let's not spoon feed him that he's gonna tell him about Kat. Which is as soon as I saw that text, I saw Glow saying it, and I was like, too late. But I didn't think it was a spoil. I was gonna say
at the same time, it's spoon feeding. That's what I thought was gonna happen.
Yeah, me too.
Doesn't happen either way.
Yeah, we never see it. Robert comes back dead, right? So.
Right. No, I just didn't. I thought we played it off really well. He's gonna
also, this is the last time we see Robert.
Oh, no, we see him again on his deathbed.
In good health.
He's pretty funny on his deathbed.
He is.
I smell worse than normal, or I forget what he says. So who's the three-headed dragon then? We got Daenerys. That's it.
I guess that's true. Daenerys, Tyrion,
and then who? Fagon? If Jon's not R plus L equals J, then who's the third head?
Even if Jon is R plus L equals J, what are the three heads? Tyrion, Dany, Jon?
Yeah, and it flipped sexes, so it's one girl, two boys.
And Dany's actually the leader.
Because you're saying the prince that promised anyway is going to be a girl. So...
Dragons don't have sexes.
Yeah, exactly. So does that even matter?
Also, another weird thing that people say is, why did the tower fall down? Why did Ned collapse his tower? Why? And how do you single-handedly tear down a tower?
Just pull the right brick.
So, one theory I've seen is that this tower had wildfire in it, and it was going to be some sort of sacrifice. And the biggest contrary to this guy's theory, this guy, again, one of my favorite theorists on YouTube for some as far as Preston Jacobs, and he says
you've got to be on some good drugs to think of this shit that you guys are thinking of.
When people counter him and say Rhaegar was a good guy, everyone says Rhaegar had a good head on his shoulders, he was a smart guy, why would he have wildfire in this tower? And his argument is, we don't really know Rhaegar that well. We actually never see him. But there's one Targaryen we know really, really well. Egg. And guess what? He dies in a fucking fiery inferno where he ends up burning everybody at Summerhall. So just because you're a good Targaryen doesn't mean you don't have a bad idea where you're going to try and burn people. Egg's brother drank wildfire thinking it would turn him into a dragon.
Yeah, but Targaryens are fireproof. We know that.
That's not true. I don't know how. I don't know how that has anything to do. I don't know how the wildfire being here like really has anything to do with this, but
So maybe that's why they were fighting. The Kingsguard were going to sacrifice fucking little baby for whatever cause there was, and that's why Ned stepped in and fought him.
Maybe.
And that's the promise. First of all, protect him from fucking crazy fucking psychos from wildfire, and also protect him from fucking Robert.
So here's the reason here's the biggest reason I want Danny to be Rhaegar's and Lyanna's kid, because then Danny, if Danny is Rhaegar and Lyanna's kid, then Jon is what?
A bastard.
The Sword of the Morning.
The Sword of the Morning, Ashara's kid.
And then he could be.
He gets Dawn.
He could be.
What is Dawn? What does Dawn do every day?
Rises.
Okay, Dawn. Well, the sun
brings
rises.
The day.
It brings what? What comes with the day?
The sun.
Light.
Sun. Light.
Dawn is the light bringer. What's the magical sword called?
Sword of the Morning.
No, the Lightbringer. Stannis'
Lightbringer.
sword is Lightbringer. And what does Maester Aemon say about Lightbringer? Maester Aemon tells Sam it's fake. He's like light with no heat is a false sword. Because Maester Aemon's blind, right? So he never sees a Lightbringer, but he can feel that it's not hot. So everyone else is bullshitted, is fooled by Stannis' sword, but Aemon thinks it's just Melisandre glamoring it. Because it has rubies in its hilt. And the real Lightbringer is fucking Dawn. Dawn is what, and fucking George R. R. Martin has said.
So now Jon's gonna stab Danny with Dawn.
Maybe that'd be sick. So
no, they're not cousins, so then you can root for them to bang.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well,
I mean that's how it should.
They would be cousins.
I'm gonna die on that throne.
They would be cousins.
I'm dying on that hill. That they should have still been together.
Why would they be cousins?
Because Ashara and Ned.
Oh, fuck.
Or Brandon,
right.
and then Lyanna and Rhaegar.
Damn it!
So
no matter what, they're cousins.
I don't know. I think Jon being Sword of the Morning, and George R. R. Martin has said that House Dane's house words are too spoiler. Like he can't tell us, or it gives too much away. Right? What does that tell you? They're hugely important. They have a sword called Dawn, and there's this famous sword called the Lightbringer.
That motherfucker has had months of quarantine.
So the thing is. I think I told you guys this. As soon as the season came out last year, I think it was New Zealand Airlines, like tweeted at George R. R. Martin, was like, "Hey George, we'll rent you a nice cottage house out here in New Zealand in the wood, in a really private, remote area in the middle of like a really scenic, like wooded area, miles from civilization. We'll fly you out here and set you up in that house, and you can stay there as long as you need to write Winds of Winter." And he responded by saying, like, New Zealand is too beautiful. If I came, I would get too distracted. But there's a conference in New Zealand next July that I'm coming to, and if I don't have the book in hand, you can lock me up until I'm done. So last year,
fucking done by July.
So last year he was pretty. Obviously that was a joke, but he seemed pretty confident that he would be done by July. And that's not that the book would be released by July. I think no matter when the book gets finished, it's going to come out the November of that year for like a holiday release. It seems like that's what he does. But I'm hopeful.
Do you think George knew this whole time, like even when he asked D&D, like who John's parents were, and he was just like, these fucking idiots.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They're gonna write a whole different story. This is great.
Just how layered is this, right?
Like couldn't let him. That ruins his legacy. He's connected.
But the stuff that I'm telling you guys, right? Like the things that I'm pointing out, they can't be unintended, right?
I mean, but you just brought up so much. You know what I mean? So
okay, so maybe some of it's unintended, but some things are seem like it's trying to point you to think, oh, maybe it is Danny, right? Maybe Danny is the kid, which is crazy because it's so layered. Then, right? Like he's giving hints that it's Jon, he's giving hints that it's Danny, but then he's also just like to people like Kyle, who's not like reading between the lines like crazy people like we are. Jon's just a bastard, and you know what I mean? Like Ned's just having dreams out here. Lyanna never even had a kid. That's what Kyle thinks right now. It's just crazy how layered it is, and I don't think.
I was scared he was gonna say, "Oh, did she have a kid?" I was like, "Oh, I don't want you to know this yet."
pulled back on that real quick. I was like, no, there was a fever. Remember? Let me read this quote.
Yeah, that was scary. I thought he was on it too. He was definitely on it. It's definitely in his mind.
Yeah.
I still can't believe he hasn't figured out that Joffrey is a bastard.
We haven't had any.
Yeah, I mean, I can believe it because it hasn't
We've
been
met
brought up
a
forever.
million bastards, all of dark hair that look like Robert.
I thought Glow might have given him some hints today because when you were talking about, he's like, yeah, I went and saw your kid. He looked exactly like you.
Oh, you got to spoon feed every now and then.
Yeah, still nothing. He'll get it sooner or later. I mean, I think Ned gets it here in like a chapter or two. Right, Ned figures it out. Wow. So I think the next chapter is Lord Piper and Lord Vance and somebody else show up and say that Gregor Clegane came and fucked up their land, and Ned sends Beric to go.
Does he send Thoros with him?
He sends a couple people. He sends people who are not from the Riverlands because he doesn't want any. He wants somebody who's impartial, basically. Because it's Riverland houses who got destroyed by Westerlands. So he sends people from the Reach to sort it out.
So the one small thing I brought up before, how Ned's a non-believer when it comes to omens and shit. After that dream, he's like, I don't think it omens well. He's starting to become a believer, but it's a little too late. Late.
Yeah. Yeah, so then just the moonlight thing.
Milk glass.
The milk glass sword is cool.
Eyes as blue as death.
Yeah, Eddard, she called, a storm of rose petals blew across the blood-streaked sky, as blue as the eyes of death. So that's obviously, again, pointing out things that aren't all, the dream isn't 100% literal. There probably weren't a storm of rose petals streaming across a blood-streaked sky, right? That's probably kind of like a figment of Ned's imagination. He's just relating rose petals to Lyanna. I don't know. Not that it matters either way if it does or not, but it just I think some of the stuff he puts in here is meant to point out, hey, this dream isn't 100% literal. Don't take this word for word, right? Like his men are shadows. I don't know what else, but it's weird. This dream is weird. Do you guys have anything else to say? I don't have anything else to say, and I feel like we're rambling.
I mean, Cersei's going to kill Robert. We didn't really talk about that, but it's coming.
Yeah, I did want to talk about that.
Oh, I also want to say something about you said you had stuff about their relationship.
Yeah, about their relationship. If Lyanna never existed, Cersei and Robert are fine. They have a great marriage.
If Lyanna never existed,
so this is what I want to say.
Cersei marries Rhaegar. Or somebody. No, he marries Ilaria. For no
Rhaegar
reason.
still dies.
Aerys tells Tywin that he will not marry Rhaegar to Cersei because that's like he says something kind of rude, like that's like marrying one of my daughters to my servant's son. He's like, you're my servant as the hand of the king. It's kind of like a spit, like Aerys kind of like spits in the face of Tywin when he says no to that, and then marries her to a Dornish person.
God fucking damn it!
This is what
I'm
I was
starting to believe
say.
the whole Dany is.
I'm still a non-believer. Actually, I don't really care either way.
Either way, it's cool. I just don't think it's nearly as set in stone. I think Jon is probably more likely. I just don't think it's nearly as set in stone as a lot of people think.
This is what I was going to say about Cersei is she gets quoted on later on about saying, like, she tried to love Robert.
She was excited at the beginning. He was, like, a big, strong dude, but he just, like, couldn't get over Lyanna.
Right. But she, like, tried to, like, do things. She wanted to love him. She wanted him to love her back.
And that's what when I brought it up in the normal part, like, hey, if Lyanna was never a thing, does their relationship go better? Kyle said no because Cersei's a bitch. Right. And, like, yeah, you're right. But I think a lot of Cersei's bitchiness comes from Robert, the way he entered the marriage.
Just imagine, let's just, like, flip the switch real quick. Like,
I mean, Cersei was always a bitch, right? So she pushed her friend down a well when she was, like, 13.
Yes. Just imagine you're dating a girl, and the girl always just talks about that other dude,
Exactly.
Like, that would drive you fucking insane.
And I think they take some of, like, a lot of this is read between the lines like we're doing here in the books, but there's a great scene in the show that's not in the books where Cersei and Robert are talking, like, alone.
Yeah, they're drinking wine, right?
And Cersei says, like, was there ever a chance for us. And Robert's like, no. Does that make you feel better or worse? And she's like, it doesn't make me feel anything. Like, there's nothing a dead girl's name can do to me that we haven't done to each other 1,000 times. It's a great scene. But I mean, those two are great actors, and it's awesome to see them just. And it's great just because it's not in the books, but it's like exactly what we're talking about now. Like, if Lyanna wasn't a thing, it could have been great. Like, think about it. Like, Cersei has so much power. She has the backing of Tywin Lannister. Robert is like a fearsome dude. Sure, he sucks it at ruling, but he's got a pretty good council around him. He's got those guys are getting the job done. If there's not so much animosity between king and queen, I think it's the way better rule. Lyanna fucked it all up. That was my point about their relationship. That I didn't want to say in front of Kyle because, I think in Cersei's later monologue she talks about how Robert kind of came into the relationship fucked up and how she was excited at the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I got.
A smoke show.
You guys, Jeff?
No, I'm good.
Glow?
I'm good on my end.
All right, that's a longer spoiler section than we've had for a while. The spoiler section is about as long as the normal part. But.
The spoiler section's a lot better. Not that it's better. It's just more. There's just so much more to talk about in the spoiler section. Than
I mean, some of our earlier spoiler sections were pretty long because we were touching on a lot of this stuff for the first time.
What was Kyle gonna talk about today? He has no fucking clue of anything that's going on.
Exactly.
And the only reason we really do is because of the show.
Yeah. And I think it's good we didn't read the dream quote in the.
Yeah, he would just be trying to think.
Well,
Which
I feel like a lot of times when I point out
anyway.
quotes, it like narrows his attention to important parts of the book, but they're not necessarily important on the first read through.
Yeah,
and it makes him catch stuff. Like if we wouldn't have even talked about the dream, he wouldn't have even remembered that it was in this chapter. Which is crazy because this is like one of the most studied passages in all 5 books. But yeah, without rambling any longer.
I don't think we were rambling. I thought we were pretty focused. But
yeah, I thought we were pretty good.
At the end. All right, guys, thanks for listening.
Like and subscribe.
Give us a like on YouTube. Comment on YouTube. Tweet at us. We'll talk about your comments here. Or definitely give us a review on iTunes.
See ya. Peace.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
See ya.